A couple of years ago, while trying to achieve success, I believed I was one of the few fortunate people to achieve this based on just an incredible drive to succeed, resilience and passion, which is something that most people don't have. So I felt like this was great because I kept achieving one thing after the next, and I believed that the only way was forward. After a few years of feeling like this and still feeling this void, this emptiness, this almost impossible strive to attain something that I could not describe, I knew that there was a problem. The problem was not achieving material things, it was at what cost I achieved that. And that's when I kind of took a step back to ask myself this question: where is this my drive coming from? And that's what distinguishes certain successful people. One achieve success with a graph like this, that to that overnight, as opposed to others who will take longer but steady. They say steady wins the race, with a graph looking like this. This graph looks a lot more sustainable. It just means that your drive for success and your route to success is a lot more realistic, a lot more achievable over long term, and will not lead to a downfall. And that's when I started asking myself this question: what is my drive to succeed? Is it coming from a place of belief, internal ambition, just certain goals that I want to achieve? Or is it coming from an external place of fear, of stress, of unrealistic expectations, of poverty, and of comparison? These 5 things is what I call the toxic drive to succeed, the toxic fuel to succeed. When your drive to success is based on certain external factors that you cannot control, ultimately you would not win. I'll talk about the first one, which is stress. When you are always stressed about certain things, it will never be sustainable long term, because what that will do is put stress on your body and it will affect your life. And the people who will be most affected are your personal relationships. And I'm going to talk about myself like I always do. The point that I was really moving for the stars, wanting to achieve impossible goals in a very short, unrealistic period of time, my home and my personal life suffered the most. And unfortunately, those who suffered with my kids, I have shared this already in my first few videos, how emotional it was for me when I had my 3rd son and I barely spent any time with this boy till he grew up. And that was just the beginning of how it affected him, because now he's well over 10, he's 11 years old. But I've seen how my toxic fuel has affected all of my kids in ways that I'm trying to repair now, 15 years down the line. When the drive also to succeed comes from poverty or a poverty mindset, it's worse, because that mindset always makes you feel like you've come from nothing and you're not deserving of anything, so you constantly are pursuing. And then every time you get one thing, you move the goalpost, because A has it. And that's where comparison as well comes in. Oh, my cousin has built this massive house back home. This lady has moved to this fantastic estate in the UK, or they're looking to buy this big house. It's external. If that's the case, you'll just keep moving from one goalpost to the next, and you're chasing nothing, an illusion that does not exist. So make sure that any fuel to succeed should come from what your values are. It should come from your ambition, your resilience, your drive. Because of course, to be successful in however you class as success, must have certain drivers and certain markers so that you know when you've achieved it. But if it's coming from an external place, every time you achieve one, it moves to the next. Another thing that is a big drive is the fear of failure. Fear, I always say that fear remains one of the worst things that can happen to anybody. This is not just in your career pursuit, even in your business. And again, I have a very good example. I started a very successful business in the UK about 4 years ago. It was doing very well. I actually branched out. Initially, I started producing products from scratch from China, shipping them, selling them, and then it moved to me supplying companies. And this business had potential to make me 6-7 figures if possible. But I stalled. I was so scared. I remember once I had a shipment on the way from China, and at this time the cost of shipping had gone up dramatically because of COVID, and I had an order, so I had to backfill an order for a client. But I was so scared because the bill of lading came and I saw what the cost was to get the goods on board, and I just cancelled that order. I lost some money, they lost some money, and I cancelled the order. And that was the point where I thought, you know what, I have a job, this is a side thing. And I started looking for excuses. It's meant to be relaxing, it's getting too difficult, in fact getting worse than my job, so I'm going to quit. I decided, fear made me stop. I closed the business and I just stopped looking for business, and I concentrated on my job. This is one thing that I still wake up and I want to slap myself and pinch myself with anger and say, what the hell did you think you did? This is what fear can do. From setting unrealistic goals as well, it's another external factor that we don't realize. Setting goals that you know that you will not be able to meet. So with that, it means that you have to work harder. With that, it means that you drive people underneath you. Now, it doesn't only affect you, it affects people you work for, especially if you're in a leadership position. That's why I always say there's nothing like a bad job. There's just everything like bad management and bad culture. When you have a leader or a manager, if you're in a managerial position and you have like a CIO or CEO or CFO who you report to, who is fueled by a toxic energy, it often comes down to those who report to them. So they'll feel like whatever they do is not good enough because you are having this set of unrealistic goals. You are under constant pressure, so people underneath feel, one, overworked, and the biggest consequence for both parties is burnout. Burnout is real, and this is not just for those in 9-to-5 job, even for if you have a business, in any sort of business. A lot of content creators talk about burnout, and if you've never created content, you will not know what it means, because people say, oh, I want to be my own boss. I want to create content because I want to be able to make decisions without having to worry about what my boss thinks. I want freedom. Freedom is this is that. And when they start and they have this drive, setting themselves unrealistic goals, saying that you want to hit 100,000 subscribers in your first year, second year, third year, how do you affect that? You can't. You can only affect what you can affect by being productive. Yes, it's good to have ambition and drive, but it has to be realistic. That's why I talked about unrealistic expectations. It gives you burnout, and once you have burnout, you become unproductive, and everybody underneath you feels the pain. I suffered massive burnout in my last job, and the consequence can never be repaired. I have almost long-lasting chronic back pain where I was sitting down for long hours in board meetings trying to make sure that, things balanced. I constantly will not go to bed early. I'll sit down in a bad position, and there's a breaking point in a meeting where I had a meeting for 8 hours and I was in the wrong part of the boardroom, and that was the last straw. I was in hospital for 6 weeks. I had to learn how to walk. I couldn't climb the stairs, and I have long-lasting damage. For example, if I host guests on a weekend, it's almost guaranteed that I'll suffer after that, because I might have an episode where it starts with my leg and then it just climbs up my back, and that's me done. So I have learned now where to put the brakes on. And I've learned that these 5 external sources of like fear, stress, comparison, poverty mindset, and unrealistic goals will not take me back there. So ask yourself today, are you successful? If you define yourself as successful, ask yourself, when do I stop? Maybe never. And then finally ask yourself, where is my fuel coming from? and I'm going to hit it specifically now to immigrants. Being an immigrant, there is that toxic, unsatiable drive to succeed. However they achieve this, it just doesn't seem to be enough, because we've come from a place of deprivation, a place of want, a place of lack, and a place of insecurity. So you replace all your moral upbringing and you will get anything you want using any method given to us. It comes at a big cost, because we expect that once we achieve certain things, then we shall be happy. But it never changes, because we believe that we are not deserving of work-life balance. We feel like we've come here to succeed as an immigrant. You need to work yourself to death. There are loads of stories every day in the news how people have literally just sat on the bus from doing a night shift, not woken up. People work for 2-3 days in a row because they believe that being an immigrant, for them to be successful, then this success can come at any cost, and they don't care. Are you one of them? Think about yourself. Ask yourself this question today. What is my drive? Why do I want to succeed so much? Do I want to succeed because of my ego, for my bragging rights, or do I want to succeed and give my family the best? Do I have work-life balance? And the reason why the graph looked like what I showed you before is most times when it's not steady up, it gets to a point not too far off and it plunges, because you get on well. It starts affecting your mental health. It starts affecting your productivity because of burnout. It starts affecting even the turnover of staff. If you have a business or you are in a leadership position in a company, the staff that you work for feel that way. Have you had a boss who is just non-stop? And instead of them pushing you to be better, they push you out of the door. They want you to shut down. You start being recalcitrant. You want to make sure that after 5, you don't touch your laptop because you're being pushed. What is the effect of this toxic fuel? Think about these things. But most importantly, it's giving yourself the opportunity to carry on growing at a steady rate, that you would achieve long-term goals, not short-term results, not microwave results that would happen overnight. Overnight glories hardly ever last. Think about all the big internet sensations who have burst into the scenes from nowhere. How many of them do you still see? Because half the time you could be lucky, but it's really doing something that is sustainable long term. I hope that I have not spoken too long, and if you're watching this video today, ask yourself, where do I draw the line? What is happiness? What is success? And where is my drive coming from? Where is this fuel generating from? Is it from my ambition, love, resilience, passion, and growth? Or is it from external factors that we spoke about before? And if the answer is the latter, think about how you can change it, because I can tell you that you are a moving car crash. You are a car crash waiting to happen. It is not sustainable long term, and you need to put your feet on the brake and remember what is most important: your family, your health, long-term success, as opposed to short-term glorification and gratification. I hope that this video has taught somebody today and learn from others' mistakes. I always say you don't have to make the same mistakes for you to learn. If there are people who have shared what has happened to them, take notes and avoid it from happening, and this is one of them. If this is the first time that you've seen one of my videos, hello, my name is Lulu. This is Lulu Diaries, and I share a lot of tips, stories, and lessons learned, and things that I'll tell my 20-year-old self, or my 30 or even 40-year-old self, because I don't think you're ever too old to learn. And if you found this video helpful, please help by giving us a like. Consider subscribing, and for all of you guys who have stuck since my channel started exactly 2 months ago today when I opened this channel on the 3rd of October, although it's not exactly the first day I published my first video, but you guys have stuck around. A lot of you have watched my videos, and if there's any particular topic you want me to talk about, please leave that in the comment section and tell me, where is your drive to success coming from? Where is this fuel lit up from? Is it from a place of, let me know. All right, and thanks again, and I'll see you in my next video.